Welcome back to your class in Organization and Management. In this video, we're going to study Chapter 3, which is about planning. We're going to be talking about the definition and nature of planning, the types of plans, planning at different levels in the firm, planning techniques and tools, application of planning tools and techniques, and also decision making. What do we expect? Content standard. The learners have an understanding of the importance of planning concepts in business success. Performance standard. The learner shall be able to formulate effective plans for a specific business endeavor. Learning competencies. The learners discuss the nature of planning, compare and contrast the different types of plans, describe planning at different levels in the firm, apply appropriate planning techniques and tools, and formulate a decision from several alternatives. Now let's move on to the lesson proper. Planning is a basic management function involving formulation of one or more detailed plans to achieve optimum balance of needs or demands with the available resources. We also have several types of plans because planning is one of the four functions of management. If you remember in the previous videos, it was discussed. And planning allows a manager to develop and implement strategic action. And they are aimed at reaching organizational goals. Now, let's look into the different types of plans. There are three major types of planning, which includes strategic planning, tactical planning, and operational planning. Strategic planning is defined as the systematic process of envisioning a desired future and translating this vision into broadly defined goals or objectives and a sequence of steps to achieve them. In contrast to long-term planning, which begins with the current status and lays down a path to meet estimated future needs, strategic planning begins with the desired end. What do you want to happen in the end? And then you work backward to the current status. At every stage of long-range planning, the planner would ask, what must be done here to reach the next level or a higher level or the next stage? At every stage of strategic planning, the planner asks, what must be done at the previous stage to reach here? So they work on different ways. Also, in contrast to technical planning, because technical planning focuses on achieving narrowly defined interim objectives with predetermined means, strategic planning looks at the wider picture. It is flexible in choice of its means. Now, tactical planning is defined as a systematic determination and scheduling of the immediate or short-term activities required in achieving the objectives of strategic planning. And operational planning is a short-term, highly detailed plan formulated by management to achieve tactical objectives. Now let's compare the planning that happens at different levels in the firm. So we're still talking about strategic planning, tactical planning, and operational planning. For strategic planning, this is done by the top level managers, the CEO or the VPs, those in the higher rank. And in terms of the level of details of their plan, there is low detail. They set what they want to happen or the goals of the organization, and it doesn't have a lot of details. Now, the time horizon for strategic planning is longer. It's remember, it looks at the wider picture, so it's about 3 to 7 years. So if you're a CEO, you might think of how you want your business to be in 7 years or in 5 years, and then you set that plan. Now, for tactical planning, this is done by the middle level managers, and there is medium level of detail, and the time horizon is around 1 to 2 years. So compared to strategic planning, which are done by top level managers, these are done by the middle level managers, and it has more details compared to the plans made by the officers or the people in the higher rank, and the time covered by the plan is shorter compared to strategic planning. Now, for operational planning, this is done by the frontline managers, those people who are closest to the customers or closest to those workers who are working directly with the customers. And the level of detail is high, and the time horizon is short. It covers time which is less than 1 year. Again, strategic planning is done by top level managers with low level of detail, and the time horizon is about 3 to 7 years. For tactical planning, it is done by middle level managers. The level of detail is medium, though it has more details than compared to the strategic plan, but fewer details than operational planning. And then the coverage of the plan is about 1 to 2 years. Now, for operational planning, this is done by frontline managers with high level of details, and the coverage of the plan is about less than 1 year. Now, let's look into some planning techniques and tools. These are just some of them. You have the simple frequency count, the flow chart, the Gantt charts, the activity network diagram, and the plan, do, check, act, or the PDCA cycle. The first one is the simple frequency count. It is a measure of the number of times that an event occurs. So in this example, this is the frequency count of the age of senior high school students. You have here in this column the age, 15 years old, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then 20 and above. And then the frequency, that means that there are 9 senior high school students whose age is 15. There are 17 students who are 16 years old, and so on and so forth. We're going to have a separate video on how to make a simple frequency count. The next one is the flow chart. It is a pictorial summary of the decisions and flows that make up a procedure or process from beginning to end. I'm sure you are familiar with a flow chart, and this is an example of a flow chart. As one of the tools of quality, a flow chart shows how an entire system functions and where error and wastes occur. This information is used in defining, documenting, studying, and improving the system. It can also be called a flow diagram, a flow process chart, or a network diagram. The next one is the Gantt chart. It is a type of bar chart that shows both the scheduled and completed work over a period. Time scale is given on the chart's horizontal axis. So you can see in here, there's the time scale, and each activity is shown as a separate horizontal rectangle or a separate bar whose length is proportional to the time required for it to be completed. So say for example, this market research, the time would be from August 16th until August 30. And then defining specification would be from August 30th to September 13th. So there is a separate horizontal rectangle for each of the activity. So this bar is for market research, this bar is for defining specifications, and then it would cover that whatever time is required for it to be completed. Next, in project planning, these charts show the start and finish dates. It also shows the critical and non-critical activities, or it can also show how much time you can still delay the project. It can also be called as chronogram, which was invented in 1917 by some US engineers. Actually, his name is Henry L. Gantt. That's why it's named Gantt chart. The next one is the activity networks diagram. It is a quality management tool that charts the flow of activity between separate tasks. It graphically displays interdependent relationships between groups, steps, and tasks as they all impact a project. We use bubbles, boxes, and arrows to show these activities and how they are linked to each other. This is also can also be called a project network or a process map. And you have finally the PDCA cycle or the plan, do, check, act. It is a four-step problem-solving iterative technique used to improve business processes. It is what managers can use to differentiate a company from its competition, especially in today's corporate world where anything that can help them streamline their processes to reduce the cost, to increase the profit, and to improve customer satisfaction can offer an advantage. Many managers use the PDCA cycle to help direct their organizations in strategic planning. As you can see here, we have the plan, do, check, and act. We're going to discuss this more in another video.